the best, keep it so blessed. You can test what you hear, but be clear, the goal is so near. I don't fear, just looking for my edge. No regrets, just keep it for the rest. Best or less, I'll lift the weight and stay on the race. I'm faster than most, heavy looking like toast. I can boast what's being said, don't look so dead like a gorgeous red. I exhale and make the scale weigh and don't fail. Standing 5'8" in my place, dissolved in grace, tight like lace. So chase the number one place and lift weight, hold stays and become not waste.
Yeah, I flex with the best, I'm so blessed on a day-to-day. I lift weights, put up plates, here to stay. I'm on physique like a Greek god. It's the peak with the technique, my shape is unique. I'm a natural build, all on me, getting filled. Each set willed, gotta get those gains, no days off. Babe, watch like Hasselhoff, here to get fitted, so pitted. Rest day, what's that? Leg day, I don't lag, log book, tell I'm booked, baggy pants, fanny packs, building this package, the feeling is savage, old school garage gym, I get it in, pumped up, drop set, try to trust in the sets, leaning weights, slamming plates, slamming back the chicken and rice, to the top, I hold a lot, keep it up, don't stop, check what I got, I don't need a spot, rep set, know the step, weight stacked up, I'm stacking them weights, bake squats, smash quads, I got quads like a crew. All right, podcast is rolling. Welcome to this first episode of our podcast. My name is Hunter Kowalski, one of the hosts, and on my left is
Xander Nelson. Hey guys, how's it going?
cool. So yeah, this is the first episode. It's going to be kind of an introduction. We're going to go over our fitness background, basically a little bit of what got us into, bodybuilding, personal training, all that kind of good stuff. Competition experience, so what we've competed in the past as far as physique sports, anything else. Our current training, we're not going to go super in depth. We'll save that for another episode, but just kind of what we're currently training for. And then maybe a little bit on plans for the year as far as bodybuilding, physique related goes. And then maybe we'll touch a little bit on like future podcast ideas that we have. So Xander, why don't you go ahead and start a little bit off of like your fitness background, like what got you into personal training
All right, cool. Yeah, so
and bodybuilding?
so I'm 20 years old. I live in northern Minnesota.
Cool.
Moved up here from Minneapolis a couple of years ago, about 7 years ago now. Been involved in the fitness lifestyle for about 4 years, 5 years total now. When I was younger, I was pretty overweight, and that got me kind of started on the weight loss route. Then I got really interested in, the gym, building muscle. Spent a good year or two training, and I competed when I was, I was 19. I was 19 when I competed for the first time. And yeah, so I ended up being a pretty long prep. I did 2 competitions in the fall of 2018. One here in northern Minnesota in Duluth, and then one an OCB show in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Actually Burnsville, to be more specific.
What was the name of that one?
That was the Clash of the Titans.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I did the Minnesota Mayhem up here in Duluth, and then Clash of the Titans. Up at the Mayhem, I took first in teen and first in novice bodybuilding. I competed in bodybuilding. I didn't do physique or classic. Wasn't really even aware those were options available to me at the time. My coach just kind of started me down the bodybuilding route, and I never questioned that. And then after that competition, about a week later, did that second one down in Minneapolis, and I took third in novice bodybuilding there. So yeah, that was a really awesome show. Felt like I brought my best package there. And then since then, I've been off-season bar, a couple mini cuts. Currently, in my off-season, had finished a mini cut about a month ago. Body weight went from about 210 down to 195 in about a 5-week mini cut. So pretty aggressive rate of loss, but I lost a lot of water weight and stuff right off the bat. So about 2 pounds a week was where it ended up.
Do you recall like the percentage of calorie drop that you did from off season to?
I don't know if it was, so if I did a percentage, I was, peak mass there. I was probably on about 3,800 calories. I'm a pretty tall guy. I'm 6'4". So I was on about 3,800. And then for that mini cut, I dropped down to about 2,400 and sat there with no additional cardio or anything for the first 2 to 3 weeks. And then I incorporated like 2 cardio sessions a week after that and made one diet adjustment. I went down to like 2,300 calories, and that was plenty to keep the ball rolling. And then from there, I've just been back in that mass life and planning to stay in this massing phase for another month or 2 at a very minimum, most likely until sometime middle of this summer, at which point I will do a more prolonged cut, most likely, but we'll see where that. So currently training about 5 times a week, push-pull legs, upper lower split. Do have access to a gym facility at the time being, making it work. That's about it for right now.
Nice. Cool. So looking at maybe like 2021 to compete, depending on the corona and stuff like that.
Yep, that's the plan. Most likely fall 2021.
Would that be about 2 years then between the last time you competed?
Fall of 18 to fall of 21, so it'd be 3 years.
3 years. Nice. I think that's actually a good time to do for off season. This is 3 years, especially as a natural. Just
yeah, and to be honest, with a lot of stuff coming out of my first competition, there's a lot of stuff that I feel like just the mindset that slowed my progress down right off the bat. Progress with recovering from that contest prep. So I honestly feel like I lost a good 6 months of achievable progress, just because anyone that's competed especially for the first time knows, especially as a natural, it can be a little bit of there's a lot of mind games that go on coming out of a severe prolonged deficit like that. And if you don't handle it right, you end up being just so slow with your calorie increases, and your recovery is just so poor. Definitely feel guilty of making those problems myself, but that mostly figured out. I've learned a lot since then. So
that would even be that would be a good podcast in itself, is just kind of when you're actually ready to compete, like the right mindset, the body composition, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, absolutely. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that people going into their first competition don't know, and it's don't realize how serious of a commitment it is, and how long of a commitment it is, even especially after the show.
Yeah, it's basically almost a year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially depending on how lean you're coming from, and yeah.
Cool. So I'll go over kind of what got me a little bit into fitness industry. Started off as very overweight kid. Basically just my whole life. I always remembered being super overweight. I think the heaviest I got was like 270, 275 when I was around like 12 years old, and started losing weight basically consistently. I did not do it very smart. I just really started hitting the weight room hard. I lost about 80 pounds without doing any cardio. It was just doing weights and kind of being stupid with diet at times, but it got the job done. And then about a year out from when I kind of decided I wanted to try to compete, I started, getting dialed in as far as like measuring what I was eating, making sure I was getting enough protein, really focusing on building muscle mass and, not trying to gain that weight back. Then I did probably like a 20-week contest prep.
Okay.
I got help from kind of a friend the last 12 weeks of that contest prep, just with the diet side of it. And it was pretty bro. I just had like a list of foods that I could eat, and like it was like 12 foods that I ended up eating the whole time basically. And I remember
kind of what contest prep ends up being, no matter what you do.
And that was it. Yeah, in the end, that's what it's going to be anyways,
Yep.
And also, like, I feel like looking at like the hedonic food scale, it can be the best way. That's kind of what I'm playing off of right now. It's just like making it simple so that you're not constantly thinking about food,
Yep.
But yeah, I competed at 16 years old. So, from 12 to about 16, it was basically just deficit pretty much. And then it was just, I wasn't super strict. So maybe I would gain some weight here, lose some weight. So maybe, in itself, it was kind of periodized just because like just falling
Just
off.
how it ended up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but then, I competed in 2 shows. I did the Minnesota Mayhem. It was the first year that they actually ran it. So
Okay.
that's pretty cool. I did the teenage class and I was the only one. So I'm pretty sure I won that one, since I was the only one. But yeah, you don't want to tell people if you compete and you win, like first place, you usually don't want to tell people that you're the only one. So
Right.
and then I also did I did the open class, and I don't know what I placed. I didn't get top 5, but yeah. And then I competed I think it was 2 weeks later in the Elk River Classic.
Okay.
So I think that's the class of the Titans that you did.
Okay.
It's the same show. It just was a different name back then.
Name, sure.
Yep. And then basically I kind of just binged out of that. Gained quite a bit of weight back. I was definitely not in the best spot to start another contest prep, but I didn't know that at the time. So I did, and did another one in like 2017. I did the same 2 shows, the Mayhem and the Elk River. But definitely I did that whole diet myself that time. And it was definitely a lot better just because I had more freedom and it wasn't so strict.
Would you say that you gained a lot of knowledge about nutrition and stuff in between those 2 shows?
Yeah. Yep. I basically just like self-taught myself because I was like, I need to know more about this stuff because I can't do that again. Like it wasn't.
Right.
The diet wasn't done the best for the first shows. It got the job done, but I was just suffering the whole time. So
Right.
you can definitely now so too. I think there's a lot of just dieting strategies that you can do to just not have to suffer so much.
Oh yeah. I think like for the most part, like I was on very low calories for my contest prep, especially towards the end. And expenditure was pretty high. I can't say that I was ever really hungry. Like not because you can eat pretty high volume foods.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that like being on extremely low calories doesn't just mess you up. You can, it's bad when you eat like, a pound and a half or whatever, like a massive mixing bowl of romaine lettuce and like egg whites or something, like the most volume foods that you can possibly consume. It's like 6 pounds of salad with like mustard and egg whites. And not only do you think it tastes good, but
Amazing.
you're not full after you eat it. You're like, someone else is looking at you from across the room and they're like wondering if you're a serial killer because you're just eating, like plain chicken breast, like
Well, it's the
like a pound of cauliflower rice and mustard, and you're like, oh, this is so good. This is basically like Chinese food.
mhm.
And like they're like, you just ate like the equivalent of 4 heads of cauliflower. Like yeah, I'm still hungry.
There's so many different like hormones and different reactions within the body that are downregulated so much.
Oh yeah.
Or even some that are upregulated when you just get so low body fat
Hmm.
that your like hunger signals are just completely
They're gone. Yeah.
gone. So like,
Yeah,
your stomach can be full. Your stomach can literally be hurting, but since you don't have all those like basically hormone and reactions within the body that you're
those
supposed
cues.
to have,
Yeah, right.
you're not going to feel full. Like it's not going to tell your brain that you're actually full.
Right,
So
exactly.
once you get to a certain point of leanness, it seems like you're just going to be hungry no matter what.
Yep, 100%. Yeah.
So,
So when I say I wasn't hungry, I was extremely hungry. I just was
yeah,
full sometimes.
and you just knew what you had to do, basically.
Oh yeah. Yep. Everyone.
I'm sure once
That
that contest was over, it was a little bit harder to not not feel hungry and things like that.
Yeah. I would definitely say that's the hardest time.
Mhm.
But I kind of had like the opposite, or of what a lot of people do, is where I was, coming from being overweight in the past, I was so afraid to add food back
Oh
in.
yeah.
Even my coach would give me, he's like, you got like, you're very lean, like you need to put on some body fat. And you hear the words body fat and you're like, hold up, red light. Why would I purposefully add body fat? Like, yeah. So,
Yeah, for sure.
I really slowed my progress just by not letting myself recover, but you live and you learn.
Yep, I did. I did the same thing after my the second year of competing. I just stayed too lean, and I actually ended up getting pretty sick. Probably about a year after, I only gained. I know I competed. The lowest I got was 162.
Okay.
162, and then I probably was up like to maybe around 180, maybe like a year later.
Okay.
So, less than, a little bit over 15 pounds, but still less than like 20.
All right.
So it was still, and I was hovering probably from like 175 to 180 because I would do like mini diets just because I'm like, oh, I don't want to gain weight.
Yeah, as soon as your weight spikes or something, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, yep.
Yep. And then I ended up getting mono really bad, and I had this like digestive issue super bad. They kind of came in at the same time, and it would be kind of a long story, a podcast in itself, I guess, to explain how I got that fixed and things like that. But basically, I at that point I was around 180, and I was almost getting skinny fat because I wasn't able to train optimally and things like that. So I almost feel like from after my show for about a year, I basically possibly have even lost muscle, but I definitely didn't make any progress that whole year.
Right.
So I would say consistently, summer of like midsummer of like 2018, or even the start of like 2019 is when I really started making like good gains,
progress, yeah.
like good off-season gains. And in my off season, so I competed at 162. Heaviest I got off season was 225. So
Mass.
pushed it up for sure, yeah. And I got pretty hefty as far as body fat goes, but within that whole 3-year period, not counting, excluding the time where I got sick and kind of lost a little bit of weight and got a little bit skinny fat. I only did like 1 4-week and 1 6-week mini cut throughout that whole 2 years of consistent, mass.
Yeah, that's really good.
So yeah, and basically, and then I am a personal trainer. Been doing that for coming up close to a year now. Like as an actual gig, I guess you could say. Personal training at Experience Fitness for a while. I don't work there anymore, but got just Gen Pop clients there. Super successful, and I've been training like a couple physique sport athletes, if you will. Pretty much, I hooked up with some people a little bit after my first show in 2016 and helped them with getting to stage. So, been kind of in the training industry for a year consistently, and then a little bit before that, like off and on. But definitely, like my main calling, I feel like, and what I really want to do is train more physique sport athletes, bodybuilding, even like powerlifting and things like that. I really enjoy. So that's why I left Experience Fitness, and now I'm on quarantine. So once I start back up, I'm going to be starting up with renovations training at Snap Fitness with Dusty Olson. So yeah, that's going to be very, more. He runs the Clash of the Titans natural bodybuilding show in October. So I'm going to be doing that one as well this year. But yeah, do you want to go over what you're currently doing for training?
Yeah.
Over
myself, or
yeah, you can.
Yeah, and in a little bit of an aside, I also have been working in the personal training niche on the side more so. I'm a full-time EMT, work for an ambulance service, but with the schedule, it allows me a good amount of spare time throughout the week. So I have been working personal training in person with about, anywhere from 5 to 15 clients on a weekly basis.
Nice.
For about a year and a half or so. Got some certifications through ACE and ISSA. So would love to work more with people kind of like you said, more physique athlete driven. Even high school and college athletes, super interesting to me. And would love to approach the training and nutrition aspect there.
Would you say like athletic performance a little bit more then?
My heart, kind of like yours, I'm sure, lies with I would love to coach strictly bodybuilding, and physique athletes, but the market for that in this area is not extremely high. So, any kind of sport athlete, like you said, powerlifting is really interesting. But nutrition and training for any kind of athlete, whatever their goals might be, and then Gen Pop clients that have a little bit more specific goals would be sweet. But yeah, as far as training myself,
I guess I'll add real quick. I am a NASM, nationally certified, and then currently working on my Precision Nutrition Level 1 certification.
Nice. How do you like that course?
It's really good. It's very good because there's a section on like intro training supplements today, and I was like, oh, they're probably gonna be like BCAAs, things like that, glutamine, and they're like, they ranked it. They like intra workout. They give you the range as far as like carbohydrates, electrolytes. They say, protein. Why would you take a BCA if it's only 4 of the of the 9 amino acids?
Right.
So they're like you can take BCAs, but it's basically a waste of money. So I was like, yeah, I like it. So,
and a lot of people don't understand that the point of an EAA or a protein, a whey protein, a whole protein intra is not really to spike MPS anyway.
No, because
facilitate.
Usually like even they recommend like around 14 grams.
Right, which is not enough to get over the leucine threshold generally. Nope. but it will facilitate the uptake of those carbohydrates, which peeps.
Yeah. So after I read that page, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Props,
So,
yeah.
Definitely I will say the testing is pretty simple.
Yeah.
As far as like exams go.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of taking it into myself to really, take notes and really learn the knowledge more.
Dive into the information. Yeah.
I get to the exams and I'm like, boom, 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 done, basically.
Yeah.
But it does go to, there's level 1 and then level 2.
Okay.
So currently I'm getting the level 1 certification, and then after that I'll definitely get the level 2 just because I enjoy it. So
yeah, for sure.
And that is a level 2 is actually a year long commitment.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty big. So
is that recognized in the US as like our gyms and stuff, or is there anywhere that benefits you besides?
Yeah, but it's all nutrition, so it's like you're a certified nutrition coach.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. So yeah, my training currently 5 days a week. In the past, I've done 6 days a week push-pull legs completely. That split is fine. I recovered from it fine, but just with the current gym situation where my abilities allow, I'm now 5 days a week with work as well. Push-pull legs, upper, lower. I've played around with just a strictly upper lower split in the past, and this is kind of the split I've fallen on the 5 days that I really seem to prefer the most. Gives me a little more time earlier in the week with the push and pull split sessions to focus on each muscle group a little bit more, and then I have an upper session that's a little bit less systemically demanding, if you would, later in the week.
Yep.
So works out pretty well. I had that second upper session today, or the upper session today. It was a good session. So currently, like I said, massing, sitting at about 35 to 3,700 calories, gaining about half to 0.75 pounds a week. It's about where I'm sitting right now. Gain 2 to 3
Did you say you wanted to get up to about 220?
Yeah. Yep. That's probably where I'll reevaluate things and see.
What do you see? Do you see your calories going up, or do you think you'll kind of just slowly gain into it with the calories that you're on?
Probably they'll have to go up. I seem to kind of stagnate around 210 with calories, and that is kind of where my body weight set point. It gets kind of hard to push at that point for a lot more body weight, but I think there will be some benefit in going up from there. Probably in a couple weeks, I'm guessing I'll have to make some pretty aggressive increases, probably to get to that body weight. I'm guessing I'll probably have to go into the low to mid 4,000s. Yeah.
Especially if you haven't pushed up to that weight for a long time.
Right, exactly.
It's going to take a little bit of and it also depends on how adaptive your particular metabolism system.
Right. And just with how life is right now, I'm actually more active than I normally would be, which seems unlikely with it being quarantine, but I'm still moving around quite a bit. So I think my expenditure might be a little bit higher as well.
Do you do step count?
I do, yeah.
What do you usually hit in a day?
I aim for 10,000.
Okay.
That's just my gold standard, even in the off season.
Oh.
But because like generally I'm pretty active. Like I don't go out of my way to hit that at all. That's just kind of where I would start anywhere. But it's not unusual for me to hit anywhere from like 12 to 14 if the day's been busy. And if I've been particularly busy on a day where like that your calorie expenditure is up, I'll eat more that day. Like because if I don't, I know I'll wake up the next morning and I'll be like 2 pounds light or something. So just being reasonable, smart about it, but not BSing myself and secretly being happy that the scale's down. Like that's not conducive to the goal. So if I know my calorie expenditure's up, I'm gonna eat a little bit more.
Yep.
So
cool. Should I input my current training stuff in?
Yeah, hit us with it.
All right, cool. So I am I want to say about 8 weeks into contest prep. So as long as everything goes to plan, I should be competing this October during 3 shows back to back. So
cool. So that's the Mayhem, the
Mayhem,
class, and what else?
The Mayhem will be the first one, and then I'm doing the Natural Viking. It's an OCB show.
Right, that's right.
Yep. Natural Viking. It's only the second year.
Yep.
With them, so
that's good.
Yep.
I misspoke when I said earlier that my show was an OCB because the Clash is not.
That's what I thought. It's NANBF.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I had in my mind the Natural Viking. I've just been seeing so much for that being promoted. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I went to that show. It was pretty cool. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more competitors this year, just because it's the second year and things like that. Especially with all the shows getting pushed back.
Right, fall shows are going to be hit hard.
They're going to be busy. So, but I'd rather go in with a good competition and like get shown that I'm not ready than go in and win something that I'm not really ready for. You know what I mean?
Agree, for sure. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to just there's not a whole lot of pride in just winning something because there's not many competitors or the competition is
so bring it on. But and really like in this sport, unless you get like to the top level, I think you just gotta really try to compete against yourself every year.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So
especially genetics determines so much with natural bodybuilding. So at the end of the day, a lot of times, like, I'm a tall boy myself, and it's hard to show up against these smaller guys that have those really stacked genes. But
are you how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4", okay.
Yeah.
You got like 2 or 3, probably 3 or 4 inches on me. I think I'm like 6 foot something.
Yeah.
So.
It's like bodybuilders are the only people that would like to be shorter.
Yep. I tell people that, and they're like, why? And I'm like, no reason really, just.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking in envy at my friends who are like 5'6" and have like a stocky build. I'm like, damn my parents for these Gumby genetics. Like,
and they probably they hardly train.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, I have one friend who berates me for training and constantly tried to sabotage my contest prep in the most in the most loving way possible. But
yeah, so I wanna say I have it's 21 weeks.
21 weeks out. That sounds about right.
Yeah, around 21 weeks to go. So off season, like I said, I started off at around 225. And initially I had a pretty big drop, so I am down to around, the lowest I've seen was 211, but like today I was like 213.
Okay.
Kind of fluctuating, but
about 15 or 10, 12 pounds down.
Yeah, about 10 to 12.
That's right on par for this period
it's
of prep.
pretty good. And like I can afford to, lose some body fat right now because I have excess on my body, so it's not going to be as hard on me as if I was like close to stage lean, or
right, that rate of loss has got to slow down once you get closer to your show. Yeah.
So
you're hoping to be done are you hoping to be done with your diet a couple weeks out of the show and then like kind of reverse diet, eat up into the show?
We're not, we're still kind of playing it by ear, like trying to learn my body. Cause I'm working with, Brian Berkland on my nutrition.
Sure.
And so he's obviously trying to learn my body, but also me. It's been like kind of surprising me just because it's been 3 years since I last competed. I'm like, I like kind of have these thoughts in my head when he gives me a certain set of like macros or this and that. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. And then it doesn't happen. So I'm like,
Right. Exactly. Unfortunately, the body is not a math equation.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, my body's not the same as it used to be. So was trying to figure things out, but we'll see. And but we'll have to see, since I'm doing 3 shows within like a 3-week period,
Right.
what we actually end up doing for peaking. So
yeah. So what's your training looking like right now?
Yeah, so I am training 6 days a week. I won't really go into the split, I guess. It's kind of my splits are a little bit complicated. It's not like a traditional push, pull, legs kind of is, but I throw in different body parts on days to days. So
Yeah.
I think we could do a full podcast on like specific training splits and what we're hitting,
Because
So
mine
we do
is
that,
not
but-
mine is not black and white either. So
Yeah, but it's 6 days a week with emphasis on chest and shoulders for sure. So I'm hitting those 3 days a week.
Okay.
And I'll just go real quick. I have a heavy day, a moderate day, and a light day. So on the light day, I'm just focusing on getting metabolites in the muscles. I'm not really worried about weights and things like that. And then I have a moderate day and then a heavy day, just kind of hit different muscle fibers. But yeah, I'll go more into that. 6 days a week. And every once in a while, I'll take like a double rest day, and then I'll just basically train 7 the next week.
Okay.
Do
Sure.
that with events and things like that. I don't know what my calories are actually at. I don't really monitor that, but I know the highest they got was like 4,500 in the off season. And then I kind of tapered it down just a little bit, like even before I started the contest prep. And currently they're at around 3,000, I want to say, hitting 260 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat, and 350 carbs most days. And then I do either single or double refeeds at about 450 grams. Carbohydrates, been running that for like 3 weeks, I want to say. I know the first week I did it, I dropped down. The average weight drop was about 2.8 pounds. The week after that was about 0.9, and then this last week was about 0.7 pounds of weight loss, I want to say. So running that, we're going to do a single refeed this week. So Monday is going to be the refeed day at about 450 grams of carbs. So yeah, but it's been going good. Definitely have a lot to learn, and like as far as how my body's going to react through this whole contest prep since it's been so long. But yeah, so like I said, I was about 162 when I last competed. Currently at about 212, could say that, 212, and hoping to compete, hoping not to have to get under 180, but we're going to bring that condition. So like whatever it takes to get there. I think
Even like 15 pounds of stage weight is like awesome though, and no joke.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully we can get around like 180 and hold that like at, shredded. So,
Yeah.
the amount of leanness and definition that I've seen though already, it looks like I've lost more weight than I have. So
yeah, exactly. Like the scale is just a metric, but it definitely isn't the be all end all.
Yep. I dropped down like almost like 2 holes on my weightlifting belt, and so it's coming down. It's looking
for sure,
looking good. So yeah, I think for this episode, that would be pretty much it, unless there's anything else you wanted to add on as far as training or.
No, I think we covered it. I got some time constraints, so this is as good a time as any for me. So no, that sounds that looks like a good place to jump off, and then like you said, we can get into some more in-depth topics, maybe even get in some questions or something.
Yeah, for sure.
on
We'll
the-
actually have some topics, and then we can get questions from our clients and try to
For
get
sure.
some guests on here eventually too.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have your coach Brian on here.
Yeah, try to get Brian on here, Dusty Olson. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, sweet.
You can learn something from anybody.
That's right.
So let's do it, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So we'll call it there.
All right. Have a good night, sir.
You
Thanks
too.
for tuning into the podcast.
Yes, sir.